Arnold Barboza Jr. and Kenneth Sims Jr. wasn't just about another fight night. It was about redemption, identity, and survival at the highest level of boxing. Two veterans stepped into the ring under the bright lights of the Honda Center, both carrying the weight of recent disappointment, both desperate to prove they still belonged among the elite. For Sims, the memory of a razor-thin loss to Oscar Duarte lingered like a shadow. For Barboza, the sting of his first career defeat against Teofimo Lopez had shattered the aura of invincibility he once carried. This wasn't just a comeback fight, it was a crossroads, the kind of moment where one man rises again and the other begins a long, uncertain climb back. As the referee called both fighters to the center, there was a quiet respect between them. No theatrics, no hostility, just two professionals aware of what was at stake. But the moment the bell rang, that respect gave way to calculation. This wasn't going to be a war of chaos. It was a chess match. Barboza immediately imposed his presence with disciplined pressure. He wasn't reckless, not overcommitting, but every step forward carried intention. His jabs snapped with precision. His body shots thudded with quiet authority. On the other side, Sims moved with fluidity, trying to disrupt rhythm with slick counters and athletic timing. It was subtle, almost surgical, but in those opening rounds, subtlety favored Barboza. Round by round, he edged ahead, not by domination, but by doing just enough. His shots were cleaner, his activity just a touch higher. Sims, though sharp, struggled to fully establish his offense. It was as if he was constantly a step behind, trying to solve a puzzle that kept shifting shape. The commentary echoed what the audience could feel. Barboza was controlling the narrative of the fight. Not overwhelming, but undeniably ahead. Still, Sims wasn't out of it, far from it. In the middle rounds, a shift began to form. Sims started pressing forward more aggressively, stepping inside, trying to turn the fight into something uglier, something less controlled. And for brief moments, it worked. A sharp right hand landed just before the bell, igniting a spark of momentum. The crowd reacted. Sims reacted. For the first time, it felt like the tide might turn. But Barboza didn't panic. That was the difference. Where some fighters crumble under pressure, Barboza adjusted. He began using angles more intelligently, never staying directly in front of Sims. He circled, stepped out, and countered with precision. It wasn't flashy, it was intelligent. Every movement had purpose, every punch and message. You're still behind. And yet, the fight refused to stay one-sided. A clash of heads opened a cut, and suddenly, blood entered the equation. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Fighters often say that the sight of blood changes everything, and in that moment, it did. Both men began to let their hands go more freely, abandoning caution in favor of opportunity. The clean, calculated chess match turned into something far more dangerous. Sims, knowing he needed something big, started sitting down on his punches. His shots carried more weight now, more urgency, and occasionally they found their mark. Barboza absorbed some heavy blows, the kind that remind you just how thin the margin for error really is. But even in those exchanges, Barboza's composure never broke. He continued to dictate the pace, landing his shots, then stepping away before Sims could fully respond. It was a masterclass in controlled aggression, doing damage without taking unnecessary risks. Even when he got caught, he answered back, not emotionally, but strategically. At one point, Barboza even leaned in and told Sims, "There are levels to this." It wasn't trash talk, it was a statement of fact, one he was proving with every passing round. By the later stages of the fight, the picture had become clear. Sims was fighting hard, digging deep, but Barboza was fighting smarter. The difference wasn't massive, but it was consistent. And in boxing, consistency wins fights. As the final bell approached, there was no dramatic knockout, no sudden collapse. Just two fighters, exhausted but unbroken, finishing what they started. But everyone watching who had done more. When the judges' scorecards were read, the verdict confirmed what the fight had shown. Arnold Barboza Jr. by unanimous decision. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement. After suffering the first loss of his career, Barboza didn't retreat. He didn't fade into the background. He came back sharper, more disciplined, more complete. And in doing so, he claimed the WBO Global Welterweight title, planting himself firmly back into the conversation for a world championship opportunity. For Sims, the loss stings, but it doesn't define him. He showed heart, toughness, and moments of brilliance. But at this level, almost isn't enough, not when your opponent is operating with such precision. As the crowd in Anaheim roared and Barboza stood victorious, one thing became clear. This wasn't just about one fight. It was about momentum, legacy, and the relentless pursuit of greatness. Because in boxing, every fight tells a story. And on this night, the story belonged to Arnold Barboza Jr. Now the question is, what comes next? Can Barboza carry this momentum into a world title shot and finally cement his place among the elite? Or will the next challenge expose new limits we haven't seen yet? And what about Kenneth Sims Jr.?
Does he regroup and rise again, or has this loss pushed him further away from the spotlight?